The year was 2247, and humanity had been watching the stars for a very long time. Admiral Park Tae-woo stood at the observation window of the Silent Fortress, Earth's most secret military station. It floated in the darkness between Mars and Jupiter, completely invisible to anyone who did not know where to look. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had fought in 3 wars on Earth before the nations united. He knew what war looked like. He knew what it cost. Today, he would meet aliens for the first time. The Galactic Council had finally noticed humanity. After 200 years of quiet expansion into nearby star systems, after decades of hiding their true strength, humans could no longer remain invisible. A Council scout ship had detected human signals near the outer rim. Now they were sending diplomats. Park Tae-woo was not worried. He was ready. The alien vessel arrived exactly on time. It was beautiful in a strange way, covered in golden metal that seemed to flow like water. The ship was 10 times larger than any human vessel the aliens had seen. This was intentional. The Council wanted humanity to feel small. 3 aliens walked into the meeting room. They were tall creatures with blue skin and 4 arms. Their leader introduced himself as High Counselor Vareth. Behind him stood General Corvus, a military commander with scars across his face, and Ambassador Lyrith, a female with curious eyes who studied everything around her. "We welcome humanity to the galactic community," Vareth said. His voice was smooth, almost kind. "You are a young species. You have much to learn. The Council offers you protectorate status under the hegemony. You will serve us, and in return, we will protect you from the dangers of space." Park Tae-woo listened without expression. He had read the intelligence reports. He knew what protectorate status meant. It meant slavery with a pleasant name. It meant humanity would mine resources for the hegemony, fight in their wars, and never be allowed to grow strong enough to challenge them. "I thank the Council for this offer," Park Tae-woo said slowly. "But humanity must decline." Vareth's smile faded slightly. "You do not understand. This is not truly an offer. Species who refuse protectorate status are considered threats. Threats are eliminated." "I understand perfectly, Park," Tae-woo replied. He pressed a button on the table. The walls around them became transparent, revealing the view outside. The aliens saw Earth's solar system stretching before them, but they also saw something else. Thousands of weapons platforms floated in the darkness, all of them powered and ready. Defense stations the size of small moons hung near every planet, and in the distance, barely visible, were the shadows of ships. Many, many ships. "Humanity has been preparing for this meeting for 150 years, Park Tae-woo said. "We detected your civilization long ago. We studied you. We learned your weaknesses. And we built." General Corvus laughed. "Impressive toys. But you cannot threaten the hegemony. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Our fleet numbers? In the millions?" Perhaps Park Tae-woo agreed. "But you have never fought humans." He stood and walked closer to the aliens. His voice remained calm, almost gentle. "I am going to give you a warning. You will deliver this warning to your council. Earth's solar system is sovereign territory. Any ship that crosses into our space without permission will be destroyed. Any fleet that attempts invasion will be annihilated. Any species that threatens our home will regret it for the rest of their very short existence." Vareth stared at him. "You cannot be serious. You are one small species. We rule 200 civilizations." "We are serious," Park Tae-woo said. "Completely serious. Go home, tell your council, and pray they are wise enough to listen." The meeting ended. The aliens returned to their ship and departed. Park Tae-woo watched them go, then turned to his aide, Commander Oh-jin, who had been monitoring from the shadows. "They will not listen," Oh-jin said quietly. He was a thin man with sharp eyes, responsible for all of humanity's intelligence operations. "No," Park Tae-woo agreed. "They will not. Then why warn them at all?" The Admiral was silent for a moment. "Because we are not monsters. Because we should give them the chance to choose peace. And because when they choose war instead, no one will be able to say we did not try." On the alien ship, Ambassador Lyrith sat alone in her quarters, reviewing recordings of the meeting. Something about the human admiral bothered her. She had met many species in her long career. She had seen fear, desperation, false bravery, and true courage. But Park Tae-woo showed none of these things. He showed certainty. Absolute, unshakable certainty. She began researching humanity's history. What she found disturbed her deeply. Humans had spent their entire existence at war. They fought each other constantly for thousands of years. They survived ice ages, plagues, famines, and disasters that would have destroyed most species. They built weapons capable of ending all life on their planet, and they almost used them multiple times, and yet they survived. They always survived, she wrote a report for the council. She recommended caution. She suggested that perhaps humanity should be left alone, that the risk was too great, that these creatures were not like the other species the hegemony had conquered. When the council met to discuss the human situation, General Corvus spoke first. He showed images of human ships, human weapons, human soldiers. He laughed at their primitive technology. "They are children playing with toys," he declared. "Give me 1 month. I will bring you their planet as a gift." High Counselor Vareth nodded slowly. "The humans have resources we need. Their solar system is rich in minerals, and their defiance cannot be tolerated. If other protectorate species see humans resist successfully, they may rebel." Ambassador Lyrith stood. "I urge the council to reconsider. I have studied these humans. They are not what they appear. Their history is written in blood. They do not surrender. They do not forget, and they have been preparing for us far longer than we realized." Corvus waved his hand dismissively. "You worry too much, Ambassador. They are mammals from a small planet. How dangerous can they be?" The vote was taken. 197 council members voted for invasion. 3 voted against. Ambassador Lyrith was among the 3. As she left the chamber, she thought about the human admiral's eyes. There had been no fear in them. No anger. Only patience. The patience of a predator waiting for prey to make a mistake. She wondered if the council understood what they had just done. She wondered if they realized that humanity had not been threatening them. Humanity had been warning them, and now it was too late. On Earth, Kainral Park Tae-woo received word of the council's decision. He read the report once, then set it aside. "Begin final preparations," he ordered. "They are coming." Captain Kong Sora, humanity's finest pilot, smiled grimly from her position in the command center. "How long do we have?" 3 months. Perhaps 4. That is enough. Park Tae-woo nodded. He looked out at the stars, at the vast darkness that would soon be filled with enemy ships. He felt no fear. Humanity had faced extinction before. They had always found a way. They would find a way again. And when this was over, the galaxy would never forget what happened to those who threatened. Earth. The hegemony fleet arrived on a cold morning in March. 10,000 warships filled the darkness at the edge of Earth's solar system. They stretched across space like a wall of steel and fire, their weapons glowing with terrible energy. Warlord Dreamos stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Conquest. He was the greatest military commander in hegemony history. He had burned 100 worlds and enslaved billions. Today, he would add Earth to his collection. "Send the final message," he ordered his communication officer broadcast across all frequencies. "People of Earth. This is Warlord Dreamos of the Galactic Hegemony. Your leaders have refused our generous offer of protection. This was foolish. You have 1 hour to surrender completely. If you refuse, we will destroy your cities, enslave your people, and take your world by force. There will be no mercy. There will be no negotiation. You have been warned." On Earth, billions of people watched the broadcast. Some were afraid. Some were angry. But no one panicked. They had been preparing for this moment their entire lives. Every child had been taught what to do when the aliens came. Every adult had a role to play. Admiral Park Tae-woo watched the enemy fleet on his tactical display. 10,000 ships. More firepower than humanity had ever faced. But he was not worried. How many of them do you see? He asked Captain Kang Sora through the communication channel. Sora sat in the cockpit of her fighter, hidden among the asteroids of the belt between Mars and Jupiter. Around her, invisible in the darkness, waited 50,000 human pilots. They had been there for weeks, running silent, waiting. I count all of them, she replied. Her voice was calm, almost bored. They came in standard formation. No scouts ahead. No flanking positions. They think we are helpless. They think we are primitive, Park Tae-woo said. Let them keep thinking that. The hour passed. Earth sent no surrender. Warlord Dreamos smiled. He had hoped they would resist. Conquest was more satisfied. In G, when the enemy fought back, all ships advance, he commanded. Standard invasion formation. Destroy any resistance. Take the planet intact if possible. I want slaves, not corpses. The massive fleet began moving toward Earth. Their engines lit up space like 10,000 suns. On Earth, General Yoon Haeon stood in the command bunker deep beneath the mountains of Korea. He was called the Iron Wall because no enemy had ever broken through his defenses. Today, he would prove that name was earned. Activate planetary defense grid, he ordered. Across Earth, things began to happen. In deserts and mountains and forests, giant doors opened in the ground. Massive railgun platforms rose toward the sky, weapons that could fire projectiles at nearly the speed of light. Orbital stations that had pretended to be research facilities suddenly revealed their true nature, bristling with weapons that the aliens had never seen before. And in her laboratory beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Beeknary uploaded the final piece of her masterwork. She had spent 20 years studying every piece of alien technology humanity had secretly collected. Every crashed probe, every intercepted signal, every stolen data file. She understood hegemony systems better than the hegemony did, and she had found their weaknesses. Virus package ready, she reported. Waiting for your command, Admiral, old Park Tae-woo replied. Let them come closer. Let them feel safe. The hegemony fleet crossed the boundary line that marked human space. They expected immediate resistance. Instead, they found nothing. Empty space. Quiet darkness. No weapons fire. No desperate defense. Warlord Dreamos frowned. Where are their ships? Where are their defenses? Sensors show nothing, my lord, his officer reported. Perhaps they have given up. No, Dreamos said slowly. Something felt wrong. This is too easy. Scan again. Scan everything. But hegemony sensors were designed to detect hegemony technology. They looked for energy signatures they recognized, heat patterns they understood. Human ships ran cold. Human technology was different. And humans had spent a century learning exactly how to hide from alien eyes. Admiral Pork Tae-woo watched the enemy fleet enter the asteroid belt. They were completely surrounded now, and they did not even know it. All units, he said calmly. Execute. Captain Kang Sora was the first to fire. Her missiles streaked out from the darkness, slamming into a hegemony cruiser before anyone knew she was there. The ship exploded in a ball of flame. Then 50,000 other pilots fired. The asteroid belt came alive. Human ships appeared from behind every rock, every shadow, every hiding place. Missiles filled space like rain. Energy weapons carved through enemy hulls. Ships that had seemed like drifting debris suddenly accelerated to impossible speeds. Cutting through the hegemony formation like knives, Warlord Dreamos stared in shock. His flagship shook as weapons fire hammered its shields. Where did they come from? He screamed. How many are there? Sir, we are detecting thousands of enemy vessels. They were completely hidden from our sensors. Return fire. All ships, return fire. But the human attack was too fast, too coordinated. Human pilots had trained for this exact battle. They knew exactly where to strike, exactly how to avoid enemy weapons, exactly when to retreat and when to push forward. In the first hour, 3,000 hegemony ships died. General Corvus, who had promised to conquer Earth in 1 month, watched his own squadron burn around him. He tried to rally his forces, tried to establish defensive lines, but humans attacked from everywhere at once. There was no front line. There was no safe position. There was only chaos and death. Captain Kong Sora flew through the battle like a ghost. Her call sign was Phantom, and today she proved why. Enemy pilots tried to track her, tried to predict her movements. They failed every time. She destroyed 17 ships personally before the first hour ended. On Earth, General Yoon Haeon gave his own orders. Planetary railguns opened fire, sending massive projectiles screaming through space at incredible speeds. Each shot punched through hegemony shields like paper. Defense satellites launched waves of missiles that overwhelmed enemy point defense systems. And then Dr. Beak, Nari activated her virus. It spread through hegemony systems like a disease. Ships suddenly lost navigation. Weapons went offline. Life support failed. Communications became scrambled noise. Vessels that had been fighting effectively suddenly went dark, drifting helplessly while human ships tore them apart. Warlord Dreamos watched his magnificent fleet die around him. This was impossible. This could not be happening. Humanity was supposed to be primitive. Humanity was supposed to be weak. Retreat, he ordered, his voice hollow. All surviving ships, retreat immediately. The mighty hegemony fleet, reduced to barely half its original strength, fled Earth's solar system. Human ships pursued them to the boundary line, then stopped. Admiral Park Tae-woo watched them go. His expression did not change. "Send a message to the Galactic Council," he said. "Remind them what we told their ambassadors. Earth is sovereign territory. We warned them. They did not listen. Now they understand. The first battle was over." Humanity had won, but Park Tae-woo knew this was only the beginning. The hegemony would return with more ships, more weapons, more anger, and humanity would be ready. They were always ready. 6 months had passed since the invasion began. And the galaxy was learning to fear a new name. Humanity, the Galactic Council, met an emergency session almost every day now. High Counselor Vareth looked older than he had 6 months ago. His blue skin had turned pale. His 4 hands trembled when he spoke. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "We sent the greatest fleet in hegemony history. We sent our finest commanders. And these humans, these primitives, they destroyed us." General Corvus was not present at this meeting. He had died 3 weeks ago when human forces attacked his personal fortress. Captain Kong Sora had led that mission herself. She had left no survivors. Ambassador Lirith sat quietly in the corner, watching the chaos. She had warned them. No one had listened. Now everyone wanted answers she had given them months ago. "The humans are not primitive," she said when the shouting finally stopped. They never were. "We made the mistake of judging their technology without understanding their nature." "Then explain their nature," Vareth snapped. "Explain how a species that discovered space travel only 300 years ago is defeating us." Lirith stood and walked to the central display. She showed images of Earth, beautiful and blue, hanging in space. "This world looks peaceful," she said, "but it is what humans call a death world. Everything on their planet tries to kill them. Predators, diseases, natural disasters. Their own sun gives them cancer. Their weather can destroy entire cities in hours. And yet they survived." She changed the image to show human history. Wars, plagues, famines, cities burning, nations rising and falling. For thousands of years, humans fought each other. They developed weapons of terrible power. They learned to plan, to deceive, to endure suffering that would break any other species. They nearly destroyed themselves multiple times. But they always recovered. They always adapted. She paused, letting her words sink in. When they discovered they were not alone in the universe, they did not celebrate. They did not reach out in friendship. They hid. They watched. They studied us for over a century. They learned our weaknesses. They built weapons specifically designed to defeat us. And they waited. Vareth slammed his hand on the table. "Then we will build more ships. We will send a larger fleet. You do not understand, Lirith said softly. They are not just defending anymore. They are attacking. She showed the latest intelligence reports. Human fleets had pushed beyond their solar system. They were striking hegemony outposts. They were freeing slave worlds. And everywhere they went, rebellion followed. Commander Ojin had planned this campaign perfectly. For months before the invasion, he had been sending secret messages to enslaved species across hegemony space. He told them help was coming. He told them to be ready. Now those species were rising up, attacking their masters from within, while human fleets attacked from without, on a world called Veth Prime. General Yoon Haeon landed with 10,000 human soldiers. The planet had been a hegemony slave colony for 500 years. Its people had never known freedom. The hegemony garrison expected easy victory. Humans were soft, they believed. Humans could not fight on alien worlds. They were wrong. Human soldiers wore powered armor that made them faster and stronger. Human weapons fired projectiles that pierced hegemony shields. Human tactics were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Instead of standing in formations, humans attacked from shadows, from underground. From everywhere at once, the garrison fell in 3 days. When it was over, Yoon Haeon addressed the freed slaves. They were strange creatures, tall and thin with silver skin. They looked at him with eyes full of wonder and fear. "You are free now," he told them through a translator. "The hegemony will not return here. But freedom comes with choice. You can join us and fight against those who enslaved you, or you can rebuild your world in peace. We will not force you either way." The slaves had never been given a choice before. Many cried. Some dropped to their knees in gratitude. Within a week, 10,000 of them had volunteered to join human forces. This scene repeated across a dozen worlds. Every planet, human, HFY liberated became a source of new allies. Every species freed from hegemony rule wanted revenge on their former masters. Captain Kang. Sora continued her legendary campaign. Her Ghost Squadron struck without warning, destroyed critical targets, and vanished before retaliation could arrive. She attacked supply convoys, communication stations, shipyards. The hegemony called her the Phantom, and crews whispered her name in fear, but Sora took no joy in killing. After one mission, her wingman found her staring at the stars, her expression sad. "Captain, are you all right?" "I was thinking about Earth," she said quietly. "About the world we are fighting to protect. I wonder if we will recognize it when this is over. I wonder if we will recognize ourselves." Dr. Beeknari continued her work, finding new weaknesses in hegemony technology. Her virus had been only the beginning. Now she was developing weapons that could disable entire fleets. Shields that could resist any known energy weapon, and sensors that could detect hegemony ships across entire star systems. "How do you do it?" Admiral Park Tae-woo asked her once. "How do you find these vulnerabilities?" Beeknari smiled slightly. "The hegemony has been using the same technology for 10,000 years. They stopped innovating long ago because they had no enemies. They grew lazy, comfortable. They forgot that survival requires constant adaptation, and humans never forget that. We cannot afford to forget. Our history taught us that lesson too many times." The war continued. Human fleets pushed deeper into hegemony territory. More worlds fell. More species joined the rebellion. High Counselor. Vareth watched his empire crumble and could not understand how this had happened. His civilization had ruled the galaxy for millennia. They had conquered countless species. They had never faced a threat they could not defeat. But humans were different. Humans did not fight like other species. They did not follow rules. They did not stop when wounded. They did not surrender when outnumbered. They adapted to every situation, overcame every obstacle, and refused to accept defeat. Ambassador Lirith understood. She had studied humanity long enough to see the truth. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy. They were not the smartest. They were not the most advanced, but they were the most stubborn. The most creative, the most willing to pay any price for survival. And that made them the most dangerous. As the 6th month ended, human forces stood ready to strike at the heart of hegemony space. The Council homeworld itself was within reach. Admiral Park Tae-woo looked at the tactical display showing his fleet's position. Victory was possible now. Complete victory. He could destroy the Council, shatter the hegemony, and make humanity the dominant power in the galaxy. But he remembered why they had started this war. They had warned the galaxy to leave Earth alone. They had asked only for peace. Now they had to decide what kind of peace they wanted. That decision would define humanity forever. 1 year after the war began, the human fleet arrived at Vareth Prime. It's the heart of the Galactic Council. Admiral Park Tae-woo stood on the bridge of his flagship. The eternal dawn, watching the alien homeworld grow larger on his screen. It was a beautiful planet, covered in golden forests and silver oceans. Billions of beings lived there, most of them innocent civilians who had nothing to do with the decision to invade Earth. Around him, 20,000 human warships held position. The hegemony defense fleet had been destroyed in battle 3 days ago. Nothing stood between humanity and total victory. Captain Kang Sora reported from her fighter squadron. Admiral, all enemy defenses are down. We have complete control of orbital space. The planet is defenseless. I know, Park Tae-woo said quietly. Commander Oh-jin approached with a datapad. Sir, we are receiving transmissions from the planet. Mass panic. They expect us to bomb their cities, are we going to? General Yunhan asked. He had arrived on the flagship that morning, fresh from victory on the outer worlds. His soldiers had fought brilliantly, but he looked tired. Tired of war? Tired of death, Park Tae-woo did not answer immediately. He walked to the window and looked at the planet below. So many lives. So many futures. All of them waiting to see what humanity would choose. Killed 17 million of our people, Sora said through the communication channel. Her voice was hard. They bombed Seoul. They destroyed the Amazon colony. They wanted to enslave our entire species. Why should we show them any mercy? Because we are not them, Yunhan replied. We fought this war to protect Earth, not to become conquerors ourselves. We fought this war to survive, Sora shot back. And survival means making sure they can never threaten us again. The only way to guarantee that is to destroy them completely. Park Tae-woo turned away from the window. Dr. Beek, what did your analysis find? Beek Neri's voice came through from her research station on Earth. The planet has 12 billion inhabitants. Only a small percentage were involved in the decision to attack us. Most are ordinary citizens, farmers, workers, children. Many of them opposed the war from the beginning. Does that matter? Sora asked. Their leaders voted for our destruction. Their soldiers carried out those orders. Their entire civilization benefited from hegemony slavery for 10,000 years. And what about the other species? Commander Oh-jin added. 43 council member species have secretly contacted us. They want to defect. They want to join humanity against the hegemony. But they are watching us now. If we commit genocide, they will fear us more than they feared their old masters. The debate continued for hours. Park Tae-woo listened to every argument. He understood both sides. He felt the anger that Sora felt, the desire for revenge, the need to punish those who had threatened everything humanity loved. But he also remembered his grandfather, a man who had survived a terrible war on Earth many decades ago. His grandfather had told him something that Park Tae-woo never forgot. Victory without wisdom is just another form of defeat. Destroy your enemies completely, and you become what they were. Show mercy when you have the power to destroy, and you become something better. Finally, Park Tae-woo made his decision. Open a channel to the planet, he ordered. Broadcast on all frequencies. I want everyone to hear this. The communication officer worked quickly. Within seconds, Park Tae-woo's voice reached every corner of Vareth Prime. Every ship in the fleet, every council member hiding in their bunkers. This is Admiral Park Tae-woo of the Earth Defense Fleet. 1 year ago. We warned your council to stay away from our home. Your leaders ignored that warning. They sent their armada to enslave us. They failed. He paused, letting his words sink in. We have won this war. Your fleet is destroyed. Your empire is crumbling. Your homeworld is defenseless. We could bomb your cities to dust. We could enslave your people as you plan to enslave ours. We could make you suffer for every human life you took. On the planet below, billions of beings listened in terror, waiting for the death sentence they believed was coming. But we will not do these things. Silence, confusion, hope. Humanity is not like you. We did not start this war. We did not want it. We asked only to be left alone. You forced us to fight. Now we will force you to change. Park Tae-woo outlined humanity's demands. The hegemony would dissolve. All enslaved species would be freed immediately. The Galactic Council would be restructured with equal representation for all member species. Those who had committed war crimes would face justice. And humanity would take a permanent seat on the new council, not as conquerors, but as guardians. These terms are not negotiable, he concluded. Accept them, and we will help you rebuild. Reject them, and we will leave your planet in ruins and let the freed slave species decide your fate. You have 1 hour. He cut the transmission. Sora's voice came through, quieter now. Admiral, are you certain about this? If we show weakness, they may try to attack us again someday. This is not weakness, Park Tae-woo replied. Weakness is destroying others because you fear them. Strength is choosing not to destroy when you have the power to do so. We came to the stars as survivors. Let us remain in them as something better. Yoon Hyeon nodded slowly. My soldiers did not fight so that we could become tyrants. They fought so that their children could live in a galaxy without fear. This decision honors their sacrifice. The hour passed in tense silence. Then the response came from the planet below. High Counselor Vareth appeared on screen. He looked broken, defeated, a shadow of the arrogant leader who had dismissed humanity as primitive savages. We accept your terms, he said, his voice barely a whisper. All of them. The hegemony. The hegemony surrenders. Park Tae-woo nodded once. Then the war is over. We will begin landing relief supplies immediately. Your people will not starve. Your cities will not burn. This is not conquest. This is liberation. He turned off the screen and looked at his officers. We have one, he said. Now comes the harder part. We must prove that humanity deserves the power we have taken. We must build a galaxy better than the one that existed before. We must become worthy of the victory we have achieved. Around the council homeworld, human ships stood guard. Not as destroyers, but as protectors. A new era had begun. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy had hope. 5 years after the war ended, the galaxy was a different place. Ambassador Lyrith stood on a balcony in the new Galactic Assembly Building, watching ships from 100 different worlds arrive for the annual Unity celebration. She remembered the old council, where her species had served the hegemony for millennia, where her voice meant nothing, where her warnings were ignored. Now, she was the first alien, ambassador permanently assigned to Earth. It was the highest honor any non-human could receive. She had spent 5 years studying humanity up close. She had lived among them, worked with them, and slowly begun to understand them. Today, she would present her final report to the Assembly, the report that would explain once and for all why the galaxy should have listened to humanity's warning. The ceremony began as the sun rose over the Assembly Plaza. Representatives from every species took their seats. Humans sat among them as equals, no longer separated by fear or suspicion. Admiral Park Tae-woo, now retired from military service, was the first to speak. He looked older, his hair completely white now, but his eyes were still calm and steady. 5 years ago, we won a war we never wanted, he said. Today, I am proud to say that winning the peace has been harder and more rewarding than any battle we ever fought. He spoke about the reconstruction. Former hegemony worlds were thriving now, their economies rebuilt with human assistance. Freed slave species had established their own governments, their own militaries, their own futures. Trade routes connected systems that had been isolated for centuries. Technology was shared freely, advancing all species together. "We could have ruled you," Park Tae-woo said, looking at the assembled aliens. "We had the power. We had the ships. We had every reason to become the tyrants who had oppressed you for so long. Instead, we chose partnership. We chose equality. We chose hope." He paused. "That choice was not made because we are better than you. It was made because we know what it means to suffer under tyranny. Our history taught us that lesson too many times. We did not forget it when we reached the stars." Captain Kung Sora spoke next. She had retired from combat to establish the Galactic Flight Academy, where she trained pilots from every species. Her students had become legends, protectors of peace throughout known space. "I was angry when this war ended," she admitted. "I wanted revenge for everyone we lost. But Admiral Park was right. Revenge would have made us into monsters. Training the next generation of defenders, watching them grow strong and brave, has healed wounds I thought would never close." General Yoon Haein now led the Galactic Peacekeeping Force. His soldiers, human and alien alike, maintained order across former hegemony territory. But they did not rule through fear. "Every planet we protect asked us to come," he explained. "Every mission we undertake is approved by local authorities. We are guests in their homes, not occupiers. This is the difference between true strength and mere power." Dr. Beeknari had transformed the galaxy's understanding of science. Her Galactic Science Initiative had cured diseases, developed new technologies, and trained thousands of researchers from dozens of species. "Knowledge should not be hoarded," she said. "For too long, the hegemony kept advanced technology for themselves while others suffered. Now we share everything freely. A cure discovered on Earth reaches the farthest colony within days. A breakthrough on one world becomes a blessing for all." Commander Ojin had restructured Galactic Intelligence Services. His transparency protocols ensured that no single species could dominate information the way the hegemony once had. "Trust must be earned," he said, "and trust requires honesty. We have built systems that make secrets difficult to keep, governments that cannot hide their actions from their people. This makes everyone safer." Finally, Ambassador Lirith rose to present her report. The assembly fell silent. "5 years ago, High Counselor Vareth asked me to explain humanity's nature," she began. "I could not answer him then. I did not fully understand myself. But I understand now." She looked at the humans sitting among the assembly, scattered throughout the chamber, ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. Humans evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. They survived through cooperation, through adaptation, through absolute refusal to give up. These traits are built into their very essence. They cannot stop fighting for survival any more than they can stop breathing. But survival is not enough for humans. They need meaning. They need purpose. They need to believe that their struggles matter, that their sacrifices create something lasting. This is why they did not destroy us when they had the chance. Genocide would have given them victory, but it would have stolen their meaning. She paused, gathering her thoughts. The hegemony made a fatal mistake when they ignored humanity's warning. They saw a young species with primitive technology. They did not see the fire beneath the surface, the 10,000 years of war, the endless capacity for sacrifice, the creativity that turns weakness into strength. But humanity's greatest power is not their weapons or their tactics. It is their ability to inspire. Every species they freed now fights alongside them. Every world they helped rebuild now prospers. They have transformed enemies into allies, slaves into partners, fear into hope. This is why the galaxy should have listened. Not because humans would destroy us if we attacked them, but because they would change us forever if they won. They have made us better than we were. They have given us something the hegemony never provided. They've given us a future worth fighting for. The assembly rose in applause. Humans and aliens stood together, united by shared sacrifice and shared hope. Admiral Park Tae-woo remained seated, watching the celebration with quiet satisfaction. A young alien child, one of the first generation born free from hegemony rule, approached him nervously. "Sir, why did you spare us? My parents said you could have destroyed everything." Park Tae-woo smiled and knelt to meet the child's eyes. "Because destruction is easy," he said gently. "Any species can destroy. It takes something special to build. We warned your leaders to stay away from Earth because we knew what we would become if forced to fight. Destroyers, conquerors, monsters. But you are not monsters," the child said. "Confused? No, because when the time came to choose, we chose mercy. We chose construction over destruction. We chose to be protectors instead of tyrants." He stood and looked out at the gathering, at the impossible dream of galactic peace becoming reality. "We warned the galaxy because we loved our home. We fought because we had no choice. But we showed mercy because that is who we choose to be. Remember that. When you are older, when you have power over others, remember that the strongest choice is often the kindest one." The child nodded solemnly and ran back to her parents, in the archives of the new Galactic Assembly. Humanity's original warning was preserved under glass. 3 words that changed history forever. Stay away from Earth. Now the galaxy understood exactly why those words had been spoken, and they were grateful. Every day, that humanity had chosen to build instead of destroy, the stars were finally at peace.